Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha.
Welcome everyone. We are so happy to have you today on Lama Live livestream event. I'm Dreamy and I'm here to support you during this gathering. Lama Live is an opportunity to come together as a community to receive precious teachings from Lama Tsultrim Allione and guest teachers, and to engage in group meditation. And so it's my great honor to now hand over to Lama Tsultrim Allione. We would like to request that you turn the wheel of the profound Dharma for the benefit of all sentient beings. Thank you, Lamala.
Thank you, Drimela, and good morning, or afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are. It's finally in Southern California, it's finally sunny. We've had these atmospheric rivers for the last months, it seems like. And I live in Southern California, so it hasn't been so bad here, but we've gotten a lot more rain than usual. So anyway, I'd love to see where you are from, where people are tuning in from. Norway, wow, Austria, Germany, Milwaukee. Manhattan, Oregon, Santa Fe, Massachusetts, Kalamazoo, Ian, Roberta, Montana, BJ, Northern California, Daniela, Washington. Wow. Well, those will keep coming in. We are creating community when we gather like this. It's not an in-person community, and I think a lot of us are hungry for that after the pandemic, but I love the online community. I love the feeling I get of being connected to you when I'm teaching and when we meditate together. I really feel it. And yesterday we had a gathering of the Sustaining Sangha, all the members of Tara Mandala, and people from all over the world, from Colombia and from South Africa and Sweden, all over the place. So that was amazing too, to just see how many people are able to benefit from Tara Mandala. You have to remember that Tara Mandala started out as a retreat center in the middle of nowhere in Colorado. We didn't even have phone contact with anywhere. And we lived in tents and teepees for 10 years. And now we have this international community that I don't have to travel to go see. So that's wonderful. I will be traveling this year, though. I'll be going to Germany and Switzerland and Italy in late summer, fall. So September, October. Hope to see many of you there. And some Europeans here. Let's raise bodhicitta. That's the intention, to practice for the benefit of all beings. This mudra is the one-pointed dedication to the benefit of beings. So let's raise bodhicitta. the heartfelt intention. I really like to say that word heartfelt because it is something you feel in your heart. Thank you. So today I'm going to teach a little more from the Semde lineage, which is one of the lineages of Dzogchen. It was the earliest lineage of Dzogchen. Dzogchen means the great perfection or the great completion. Dzog can be complete, or it can also mean perfect. And Chen means great. And this was a tradition that arose in Odiana, which was a place to the northwest of India, possibly in northeast Pakistan, Kashmir, that area. And there were many powerful women teachers there, and the Dzogchen teachings emerged from there, and also from Shangjung in far western Tibet. And so there were these lineage holders that preceded it going into Tibet from Odiana. And so what I've been doing over these weeks is sharing these little core teachings of these lineage holders who preceded the ones that took it to Tibet. And they're just amazing. I love this material. I was kindly given a copy in Tibetan of it by Adriano Clemente, who actually is the writer of the book. This is where I'm getting it from, Supreme Source. It's kind of a reflection there. The Supreme Source. And anyway, so I've been looking at the original Tibetan and doing some commentary on that. And so I want to continue with that this morning, and then also maybe have some time for your questions. I'd love to know how everyone's doing today. Maybe you could say, how are you today? I'm wondering how everyone's doing. Our world is pretty intense right now. We've had these really intense tornadoes in the United States, and I'm just thinking about those people that just live in fear every day of being in a tornado, which must be such an incredibly scary and intense experience. So there's also many beautiful things happening, and spring is springing in the Northern Hemisphere. And here where I am, my plum tree is blossoming. My peach tree already has peaches on it, little peaches about that big. And I planted tomatoes, I planted basil, and several kinds of peppers. So yeah, it's beautiful. Happy to be here. Would love to start a retreat and try to truly help. Yeah, relax and enjoying. Okay, so I will start this teaching and then see if we have time for some questions afterwards. So this one is someone named Nagaraja. So it's a male. Some of these are women. So it begins, Lui Gyalpo Gawo, who was Nagaraja, was the emanation of the Bodhisattva who lived among the Nagas. The Nagas are the water spirits, and they're really frequently mentioned in the Buddhist teachings. It's said that when the Buddha taught, the Nagas were present. And I actually had this experience with Namkhai Norbu Rinpoche, where the snakes are connected to the Nagas, snakes in general. And one time I was with him in this field where now there's an amazing space to do the Vajra dance, which is a meditative dance done on a mandala that he received from the dimension of the Dakini Kumadevi, who she's one of these teachers that I'm going to teach on. She was in that lineage of Semde from Odiana, and he in dreams received many teachings from her, particularly around this dance, but also practices connected to her. And he would go and meet her. And I mean, the connection was such that she would show him a dance, and then she would come back the next night and say, no, that the right foot should go into the yellow part of the mandala, not the red part. Like correct him in another dream. So they had this incredible contact. In any case, I was with him at this place, and it is the place where he first revealed this dance terma. And he was teaching, and there was a snake, small, like a garter snake, not a scary snake, but just a little snake that sat kind of coiled up with its head up, looking at him the entire time he was teaching. And at the end, I went up to him and said, Rinpoche, that snake, it's been there the whole time. And he said, that's called the presence of the Nagas. So, yeah, the Nagas are the water spirits, and we need to be in touch with the Nagas. We need to be aware of them and make offerings to them. At Taramandala, we do a Naga Puja twice a month. And in Naga Pujas, you always offer milk, dairy products they really like, and very pure things like flowers, flower petals, milk, that kind of thing. Yeah, they're real. And I've had some real contact with them at Taramandala. So if you are in a place where you could do such a thing, if you go to a spring or a river and you offer those things with a pure heart to the water spirits, you don't necessarily have to have the formal Naga Puja. That could be good, because we want to be in good relationship with them. They like their water to be pure. And so anything you can do to purify water, to protect water sources or clean up rivers, all that is very beneficial to the Nagas. When they're disturbed, they cause skin diseases. And so often, if you have a skin disease and you apply with to a Tibetan doctor, they'll have you do a Naga practice or offerings to the Nagas, or sponsor a Naga Puja to be done. So, so this is the king of the Nagas. And when he learned that the marvelous Dzogchen teachings, the essence of all teachings, had appeared in the human world, he reincarnated. His father's name was Apara Dharmu Jinana. And he was a Chandali, or an outcast. And his mother's name was Jatso, which means ocean. And so this teacher, Nagaraja, or Lui Gyalpo in Tibetan, met Garb Dorje, who was the first human to receive Dzogchen teachings on this earth. It was, as I have said before, taught in 13 other solar systems before it was taught in ours. And so Garb Dorje received it from Vajrasattva, who's in the dimension of pure light, Sambhogakaya. So Lui Gyalpo also received it from Garb Dorje while he was still alive, and obtained the ripening empowerments, which would be some initiations where those teachings could ripen within him, from Prince Tuo Rajahati, who I've spoken about before. Then he asked Princess Parani, who I talked about last week, for the essence of the teachings. She summarized the teachings thus. And then we have the Tibetan, Yuldrukma Gakte Shingje Par Jo. And that means, in the order that it is in Tibetan, sense fields 6, the number 6, unceasing, happiness, enjoy, behavior. So what that means is enjoying uninterrupted pleasure in the fields of the 6 senses. So that's just the beginning of the thought. And I'll say the next line so it makes sense. Jitaro kyang changchu boksu che. Like this, enjoy, roll, bodhicitta, great benefit. That's word by word. And then the translation is, like this, enjoyment is a great enhancement to bodhicitta, or a great benefit to bodhicitta. So that's interesting. Many religions approach the senses as obstacles to spiritual development, that if you really want to be spiritual, you have to free yourself from the senses and from the body and just be in the realm of spirit. And those are generally patriarchal traditions that split spirit and matter, or spirit and life in this dimension. And these teachings don't. And it talks about not only experiencing them, like say in a state of mindfulness, but actually pleasure. And how pleasure actually leads to the enlightened state. Isn't that interesting? So let's look at it more in detail. So it says enjoying uninterrupted, and there the word magak is used. Magak. Magak means unceasing. When we talk about Dzogchen and the nature mind, we say it's magak, unceasing, meaning that it continually goes on. In this case, it's talking about magak, pleasure. And so that means that when we are in a state of union with the senses, then we are in a state of mahasukha, or pleasure. And here the word de is used. De chen means mahasukha, and just de means sukha. So what does that mean? Is that ordinary pleasure, like I'm eating something and I'm enjoying it? No, although that could be part of it too. But it means that when we are in a non-dual relationship through any sense experience, be it thoughts, and thoughts are considered a sense, sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing, and thinking. Those are the six senses. The six sense fields is what they talk about here. And so that those are the consciousnesses of those senses. So we have the ear, right? And then we have the object of the ear, which is the sound. And then we have the consciousness that hears. And so it's talking about that. So it's not just a sense experience, it's that consciousness that comes. Magak, M-A-G-A-G. So what does that mean? It means that if we are in our true nature and we are experiencing things as they are, we are in union with them. And that very state of union is bliss. When we are in that state of union with the sense experience, it is natural bliss, joy, happiness. So let's do a little experiment. Maybe we'll use the sense of sight, since I'm not sure you're all experiencing any of the other senses as much as sight right now. So maybe look at something. I'm looking at the couch in this room. I'm just looking at it. And at first I'm looking at, and it's me looking at the couch. And the couch and I are separate, right? But if I recognize that object that I'm seeing with my eyes is actually the emanation or the play or the display of the primordial state, the ground of being, that primordial awareness, that it's the radiance of that, and inseparable from that, I have an experience of bliss when I'm looking at the couch. Let's try that. First, touch in on that vast, open, deep awareness of awareness. And then the radiance of that, or the presencing of that as our world. And whatever you're seeing is part of that presencing, inseparable from the ground. And then move your eyes around at everything in your visual field. Recognize it like that. And notice what you feel in your body when you are in that state. Of recognizing appearances as inseparable from the ground. Maybe write into the chat what you experienced as I did that. Did you experience a sensation of bliss in your body? Yeah, that's it. That's what it's talking about. And you can do this at any moment and be in that and cultivate the experience of being in that at all times. And that's why we say Mahasukha or Dzogchen, great bliss. It's such a beautiful experience, of course, and it's also such a beautiful idea that our fundamental condition is great bliss once we drop into it. Yes, Alyssa warms us, brings me into my heart, Ian. More like joy, yeah. That's it. It's beautiful. And then it says, Jitaro kyang chanchu bok su che. Like this, enjoyment is a great enhancement to bodhicitta. So, this word bok is used as it's a word. It's also used in the word bokdun. Bok means to enhance or increase. And so you have a realization like this, and then you bok it, you enhance it, so it enhances bodhicitta. And so that word, bodhicitta, is one of those words like Sanjay, which means Buddha. They can be taken apart into two parts, Chang and Chup. Chang means to purify, and Chup means to obtain. And so that Chang is associated with Kadak, which means primordial purity, and Chup with Lundrup, or spontaneous presence. And the practices associated with that, Kadak is Trekshu practice, and the practice associated with the Chup, or Lundrup, is Togyal, or the visions that appear when we are practicing Togyal, the deeper practice of Dzogchen. So here it says, like this, enjoyment is a great benefit to bodhicitta, or a great enhancement of bodhicitta. So I've talked several times that this lineage is called Semde, or the Mind Series, but it's really an abbreviation for Changchup Semde. Changchup is this word, bodhicitta. And bodhicitta has a different meaning in Dzogchen than in Mahayana. And the meaning is the primordial state, this state of the grounded being, resting in grounded being, and recognizing everything as the emanation of that. And so the reason why bodhicitta is increased by the experience of pleasure, which you might think, wow, I never heard of a spiritual path where pleasure was considered to be the path except hedonism. But when we're in the state that we just touched on, just for a moment, we felt pleasure. At least some of you did. Pleasure, joy, yes. Bliss, yeah. Okay. Yeah, right. So this pleasure increases bodhicitta, or sort of fans the flame of bodhicitta, because you're in the non-dual state when you're experiencing this kind of bliss that I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Then you're experiencing, or you're increasing, you're bokdoning the Changchupsem, your true condition. So this is something to practice. So when this Lama Live is over, during this next week, practice this. Try it. Try it with sound. Try it with taste. Try it with touch. Yeah. I'm feeling it so much in my body, like it's hard to keep talking. Yeah. It's nice to share this with you. And it's right here. You don't have to go somewhere expensive to experience bliss. Yeah. And then next line, very profound. Lui Gyalpo di chung top dendangpa. Self-cognizing king, power, attain, confidence. So the way that translates is obtaining confidence in the power of the king, self-cognizance, or rangrig. So this word, rangrig, is very interesting word. So we have our innate or inherent intelligence or awareness, and that is awaring right now. It's a verb, awaring. That awareness is intrinsic to the universe. So let's just sit with that for a moment. Awareness is intrinsic, or part of, naturally part of, and really the base of the universe. So this awareness is there from its primordial beginning, from the primordial beginning of the universe. And it's also present in our own primordial encounter with the luminosity that is this awareness presencing itself. And that is what we call our world. Yeah. So that presence we experience as our external world. but we don't recognize our external world as the ground presencing. We tend to experience it as other. So let's take a moment and experience our world, wherever you are. And of course, your awareness is limitless. But the things that you're perceiving with your senses as the ground presencing, the ground of being manifesting or playing, radiating. So it's our encounter with that luminosity that is what we perceive with our senses, the six senses, not just sight, all of them. So actually, we are perceiving through the senses the display of the ground of being, and it is inseparable from the ground of being. And so the reason we experience bliss when we recognize that is because we return to truth. We return to our true condition. We need to recognize, we must recognize the ground presencing as ourself, not ourself in the egoic self sense, but as the pure awareness present within us. That's Rang Rig, Rang, or inherent Rig awareness. Let's sit with that for a moment. That word for me is so profound. It's usually translated self-awareness, which kind of doesn't mean anything. What does that mean? Awareness of the self? It's not the awareness of the self in that sense. It's the awareness of our innate, inherent condition, which is awareness. Rang Rig. Sometimes it's translated as self-cognizance. But I think the problem is the word self, because that is usually the egoic self. So better translation is inherent awareness or self-cognizing awareness. Yeah. And so what he's saying is that he says that self-cognizance, Rangrik, is the king. The king. Gyalpo. Rangrik Gyalpo. Self-cognizance or inherent cognizance is the king. And that's what you attain through enjoying uninterrupted pleasure or bliss of the six senses. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? And then the last line, meditation is resting at ease in the six sense consciousnesses. So this word, resting at ease, lukparshuk, is juk is that word for resting, juk. And it's kind of onomatic, poetic. It kind of reminds me like slide into first base, like juk. And it's the same juk that's in dual shuk that we talk about in the Chud lineage, when you go out on the road to scary places to encounter your own fears, push through them. So here it's talking about the Dzogchen, these six sense consciousnesses, resting at ease in them, or relaxing in open awareness of them, that is meditation. That's what he says. That is meditation. And remember, these are the most profound essence teachings that they could come up with in a few words, each of these teachers. So this is like their pith instruction. So profound. Then Lui Gyalpo completely realized the meaning of the primordial state and expressed his realization thus. So, that was a teaching from Princess Parani to him, to Nagaraja. And now this is what he says. I am Lui Gyalpo. This is a longer version of his name. Nyumong ma sprang yeshe chempo ma. So the unobstructed emotions, without renouncing them, are the five great primordial wisdoms. So how many of you have read Wisdom Rising and or learned about the five families, five mandalas, five wisdoms somewhere else? If you haven't read it, you have to read it. I go really in great detail into these five families and the five wisdoms. So saying the obstructive emotions, without renouncing them, are the five great primordial wisdoms. And that's the principle of Vajrayana, that the obstructive emotions, and in this case, they are ignorance, anger, pride, desire or attachment, and jealousy or envy. Those are the five. And they become, ignorance becomes the wisdom of total space, Dharma Dhatu. It's also depression, spacing out. So the wisdom of totality becomes. And so anger becomes mirror-like wisdom, mirror. To look in the mirror. Anger becomes that. Pride and feelings of insecurity become the wisdom of equanimity, evenness. And then desire or craving becomes the wisdom of discernment or discriminating awareness wisdom. And jealousy or envy becomes all-accomplishing wisdom. And I explain in my book how that happens. I don't have time right here, right now, to explain that, but I just touched on them. So what does this mean? It's similar to the sense experiences, although these are the kind of the bad things, and how the bad things can be transformed by simply being present with them, being completely present. So let's take anger, for example. Maybe generate a feeling right now of anger. Like, think of something that pisses you off. It could be a political situation, like what's happening with women in Iran right now, and women in this country who are being denied control over their own bodies. Or maybe you have something personal where you can generate the feeling of anger. So feel that. And then simply feel it as energy. Not angry at something, you're simply in that energy. And it has a kind of clarity, doesn't it? Sharp clarity. That's mirror-like wisdom. And so what he's saying is that all of our emotions, without renouncing them, are the 5 great primordial wisdoms. So when we're purely in the experience of an emotion, without dualizing it and thinking what we're angry at or what we're going to do to that person or thing that we're angry at, we're just in the energy of it. And that liberates into the wisdom. That's the principle of the mandala. And then he says, Dusamajam kusum tuki tuksu. So without having to renounce them, the 3 poisons are the perfect body, speech, and mind, or the complete, or the perfected. So this is the same principle. The 3 poisons are a more condensed version of the 5. So it's passion, aggression, and ignorance. And so he's saying that they are the perfect body, speech, and mind. So when you're really just present with those energies, they are the perfected state of body, speech, and mind. This doesn't mean that you go around just indulging in getting angry all the time, or being prideful or craving or whatever. It means it's a meditative experience of those energies in your body and in your awareness. Korwa Majang Dechen Changchup Lam. Without renouncing samsara, it becomes the path of bodhicitta bliss. So the experience of these sense experiences and these so-called poisons or samsara are translated back into light and into Gnostic awareness that directly perceives emptiness itself. Gnostic awareness, that word Gnostic, comes from the same nga as in prajna, which is wisdom. And it is inner knowing. It's awareness of awareness. And so this is just so beautiful. Without renouncing samsara, it becomes the path. Lam is path of bodhicitta bliss. So this is a path in itself. It's very profound. Thus, the realization of the Buddhas of the three times rises within me. That's the final line. Dusam Gyalwe Gongpa Daklashar. So, amazing. That's Nagaraja, Lui Gyalpo. Wow. Okay. So let's see what you've been saying. Deep, such bliss, deep pranams. It's just energy, that's right. Yeah. Okay, let's see what questions I have. My mother passed away 3 weeks ago. Should I be speaking with her while she's in the bardo? I don't want to confuse her, but I do want her to know I'm here. I don't have the energy to perform Zhitro on her behalf. These past few weeks have been difficult, but I'm paying homage to Tara Suktor Namgyalma. Is there anything more I can do? Tara Suktor Namgyalma is Ushnisha Vijaya. That's this statue behind me. Can't see it very well, but she has 8 arms and she's a longevity deity. And she's part of the longevity practice that I revealed in Bhutan in 2017. In any case, about your mom, it's fine to talk to her and give her an indication of letting go, going toward the light. See her going toward the light. And if you can't do formal Zhitro practice, see light going out from your heart, the heart center, which is the seat of wisdom in our bodies. Here in the middle, let's all touch our hearts. You feel that? That's the seat of wisdom in your body. And so send light out from your heart, rainbow light, And imagine that she's being washed with that light, and all of her karmic obscurations are clearing. Everything's washing away gradually. And I thought I would give the lung for the Zhitro practice. And then you can take the online course. Any of you who get this lung can do that. And then you can help others when they pass away. And it's also just a really good practice to do. And we do have an online course of it. And I thought when I saw this practice, you say you don't have the energy for Zhitro, but I think it would be good if you could listen to it, listen to the teachings, and maybe do a little bit of it as you recover. But in the meantime, just send her that karma washing light. And each day tune into her and do that for a while. And you'll find her in different places each day. I don't mean literal places. I mean different states of mind. So I'm going to quickly give you this lung. Om me ho shudi shudi yam ho shudi shudi ram ho shudi shudi lam ho shudi shudi e yam bam ram lam shudi shudanaye swaha. Namo guru be, namo deva be, namo dakini be. Hong, 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 hong. Oma hong bodhicitta mahasuka janana datu a. Om rulu rulu hong jo hong. Om ahom swaha. Om vajrasattva hong. Om vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva tinopa. Tishta drido me bawa, sutta kayo me bawa, supo kayo me bawa. Anuraktu me bawa, sarva siddhi me prayatsa, sarva karma tsutsa me. Citam shriyam kuru. Hong ha 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 ho Bhagavan sarva tathagata vajramami munsa vajri baba mahasamaya sattva. Om ahum bodhicitta mahasukha janana datu a. Om vajrasattva hum. Tayata hane hane anali mitaye kuruye vajrasattva swaha. A shasa maha ma banda marara ha kanka Shala, Sa Banda Matali, Ka Hana and Alita, Ha Masa Shakiyu, Sha Sa Maha, Ma Banda Mitaru, Ha She Anali, Eta Bandama, Sha Lasha Akakan, Sa Muti Kanali, Ma Wani Sune Ha Gisha, ha, ha, ha. And then the authentication, dedication. Om dare dare bendare swaha. Jaya jaya siddhi siddhi pala pala. Hasha sama mama kolin samanta. You can get this little book, little practice book in our store. And I think you get a download also if you do that course. Yes, beautiful practice. We do it daily at Tara Mandala. And so that's another thing. If somebody passes away, you can send their name to info@taramandala.org and a photo and where they passed away. And that helps us attune to them. And then we do practice every day at Tara Mandala for the deceased for 49 days. And so somebody's helping them every day. And I totally understand when you're in extreme grief, it's really hard to sit down and do a practice. You just don't have the energy for it. But then you can give it to us and we will do it. Kathy is head of our temple, and you can send it also to her. Maybe if you're comfortable, Kathy, put your Tara Mandala email in, or just simply to info, that's fine, and they'll forward it to her, and then she distributes it to those who are doing the practice. I think it's a beautiful service that we do that, and wanted you to know about it. We also have a prayer list that's recited every day in our afternoon practice. And so to the same email address, you can send requests for prayers. If you send the location and what's happening with that person, like so-and-so in Kansas City with lung cancer. So, that helps us like direct the intention. Oh, so I think our time is up. Yes, it is. Yes, the Zhitro Lung is helpful if we're in the bardo, having received that. Any connection with Dharma is helpful when you're in the bardo, because it stays with you. Everything else is stripped away. You lose your body and everything else. All your relationships are gone, but your mind is still there. And so whatever you've done with your mind, and any karmic connections you've made with the teachings will help you at that moment of death. And so I hope these teachings from today help you, and also help you at the time of death to have heard these teachings and also receive the Zhitro. So thank you. Yes, here's somebody asking for his father in Romania. Yes. Dreamy, can you transfer that to the prayer list, please? And yeah. Thank you for the thank yous, everyone. And beautiful. Have a beautiful day. Spring day in the Northern Hemisphere, fall day in the Southern Hemisphere. And lots of love. Yeah. Okay, let's dedicate the merit. That's the positive energy that we accumulated today. Let's dedicate that merit to the benefit of all beings. Thank you. Lots.
I'm sorry, Lama. Thank you so much.
Okay. It's nice to see everyone tuning in. And yeah, have a beautiful week, everyone. And these recordings stay up on my Facebook page, Lama Tsultrim Allione, and Tara Mandala Global YouTube, which you're on, if you're hearing this, one of those. And so you can listen to it later or share it with friends. And please, if you enjoy these things, like us on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. That helps Tara Mandala get the word out. Okay. Lots of love, everyone.
Thank you so much, Lama Tsultrim. It's such a pleasure to receive these teachings from you on a regular basis. Thank you. Thank you. The Tara Mandala community continually makes prayers for your long life and good health. And we make the aspiration that we continue to meet together to receive these teachings and meditate like that. Thank you so, so very much. And dear community, thank you so kindly for showing up today with your open hearts. We invite you to join the space dedicated to our community, which is Tara Mandala Network, and it's our community's communication hub created to support our engagement and connection. where you can access open sitting and practice sessions on a daily basis, post comments and pictures, and engage in discussions. Within the network, you can also find groups dedicated to, for example, to aging and illness in the Dharma, or the Thousand Arms Sangha holding Tara Mandala LGBTQIA+ practitioners. So if you are interested, please join us and explore. I'll now post the link in the chat. And now, following the tradition going all the way back to the time of the Buddha 2600 years ago, you have the opportunity to make an offering of dana to Lama Tsultrim. For those who aren't familiar with the term, the word dana is a Pali and Sanskrit word that means generosity. Offering dana creates an auspicious connection and is a beautiful expression of the interdependence between teacher and student. I hope you noticed the PayPal link in the chat, and I'll post it again in a moment. Thank you so much, everyone. May we meet again and again on the path, and may all beings benefit everywhere.
Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu